Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now last night we did get a season 20 official announcement, and there is quite a bit of interesting information that has dropped. Unfortunately, no rewards update, which definitely has caused quite a lot of stir because, well, let's face it, these rewards in Battlegrounds do feel like they need to be updated. However, that being said, we do have something that pretty much everybody has been asking for since the Battlegrounds started. And that is that, firstly, we're introducing a season-long Gladiator Circuit meta, but no, that's not. That's the definite point. But secondly, we are introducing a week-long off-season that begins when the season ends, and you can keep playing Battlegrounds anytime. So that is definitely a huge and a good improvement. That means there's going to be a lot more friendly streams during off-season, prepping for the season to come. So definitely exciting news and announcement, as well as information of next two season metas. So let's break it down step by step. Firstly, we are introducing a season-long Gladiator Circuit meta. The goal is to give more value to players investing in champions for a season instead of them ranking up for 2 weeks of Battlegrounds. They will be able to get a full season out of their rank up materials as we assess its performance. This will be the structure for the next few seasons. Now, this actually is the bit that I am quite worried about, because if the metas are fine and interesting and engaging, then that's fine. I kind of agree with that, where a lot of people, myself included, are effectively basing the rank ups of Battlegrounds, and currently you kind of do that for the last 2 weeks of Battlegrounds only, and you're playing through with whatever you have within the first 2 weeks for most part. And the thought process there is clear. However, an entire month of exactly the same node, exactly the same meta is fine when the meta is decent. We have had a lot of garbage metas recently where people are just flat out refusing to play Battlegrounds because of how RNG it is, or because of how, unenjoyable the metas can be. And Kabam is gonna have to think extra hard to make sure that these metas are fun and engaging and people actually like and enjoy. So I hope they do manage to do that. I do have my doubts given Kabam's track record, and let's face it, last half a year overall has been quite garbage in terms of nodes and metas. But let's hope they do a solid job there. So secondly, we have the off-season. There will be no competitive aspect during off-seasons, and the rewards will be lessened. However, you will be able to practice against the following season buffs. So that's kind of cool. That's what you kind of expect. Right. It's actually better than we expected. Better than I thought they would do if they introduce off-seasons. So here are the dates. It starts of July 24th is the beginning of the next season. August 21st is the end of it. And then off-season starts immediately. Off-seasons will be a normal part of Battlegrounds moving forward. They will last for 1 week at end of the season. The Battlegrounds landings banner will show that it's on off-season. With the addition of off-season, we will no longer have any Battlegrounds downtime for those of you who love to play the mode. The buff meta during the off-season will be that of the upcoming season. We will now provide the details for the 2 seasons. E.g., the season 20 off-season will have the buff meta of season 21. That's cool, so we get to practice for the upcoming seasons. You will see a slightly different screen and info when tapping on the play during the off-season. 5 energy will be the cost to play. And let me explain it then. There will be no victory track or Gladiator Circuit rewards during off-season. Players will only be able to get rewards via Battlegrounds objectives. Now, this is still better, because number one, you can still always play friendlies. That costs nothing. And these 5 energy matches, you will be able to get your solo objectives every 2 days, still get a little bit of Battlegrounds tokens, and you will not have to worry or bother arranging the friendly matches to play with. So anybody can play with significantly less in cost. So I do think they did better than we hoped they would, because we kind of were asking for at least let us play friendlies. Obama is still giving us a way to play random matches against random opponents. It will be very interesting to see how the matchmaking works in off-season, but overall, as an idea, I do like it. So now, you can take a look at the metas. And the difference now is that, for instance, for season 20, we're going to have completely different meta for Victory Track and completely different meta for Gladiator Circuit for an entire month. So, Victory Track meta is going to be Clarity. So if the attacker has the Clarity tag, each hit in the combo meter and each buff gained other than the Dexterity Mastery grants a Clarity charge. Reaching 10 Clarity charges consumes them to grant a Clarity passive for 10 seconds. Maxed out 5. Each side passive reduces the opponent's critical resistance by 30% and prevents the activation of auto block and evade. These signed passives are paused during defender's special attacks and are not affected by ability accuracy. House of Mirrors, we know what it does, the auto block, the evade, the critical resistance, and all that other stuff that we're currently dealing with in Alliance War. Clarity completely shuts down the node, so this time the war tactic, offense and defense, they're fairly decent. Enhanced Soldier, 100% chance to activate True Strike when intercepting the opponent's dash, is making it easier for non-Clarity champions to play against this node. And Dazed and Confused, well-timed blocks from the attacker starts 5-second timer. If you parry again within that period, you will be inflicted with the Falter passive. This is the main kind of node to make it more difficult alongside House of Mirrors. However, keep in mind that House of Mirrors will only be active for House of Mirrors defenders. So for most fights, you only need to deal with Dazed and Confused. So I think it's going to be fairly straightforward meta. In Season 20 Gladiator Circuit, things will get significantly more interesting because Rust and Ruin, when the defender is struck, 40% chance to inflict armor break on the attacker, reducing their armor rating by 25% or 10 seconds. If you get to 5, then it becomes armor breaks active on them. They are consumed and turn into an indefinite armor break debuff. Scrap Wars, whenever the attacker is afflicted with armor break, the defender gains an armor up buff, increasing their armor rating by 20%. Whenever the defender is inflicted with an armor break, then the attacker gains an armor break buff. And so it's basically whoever armor breaks the opponent gets an armor up buff. Extend, the defender's buffs and debuffs last 150% longer. And then we have Divine Barrier that's slightly gimping Mystic champions. So while fighting a Mystic attacker, every 10 seconds on a timer, the defender becomes immune to Nullify, Fate Seal, and Stagger effects for 8 seconds. Does not include Neutralize. The timer's duration is paused for 2 seconds each time the attacker nullifies a buff, however. So this will be a wild meta because we're going to have champions like Kingpin and Crossbones who are going to have infinitely faster ramp-ups. And then we're going to get champions from the Mystic class, obviously, that will still feast on this. They are slightly gimped, but they will still have the benefits from opponents being, wearing buffs, which neutralized champions are going to work, and Chavez is going to be strong. And it's going to be a very, very interesting meta for sure. Additionally, some champions like Serpent and Hercules, who thrive on opponents having armor up buffs and dealing extra damage as a result, will have access to extra damage. So this seems, again, likely going to be quite nuky and wild and crazy interaction meta. I do look forward to playing it because I do like when there are some crazy interactions. I only fear that it ends out being too nuky. Overall, I do think it's better than we had this season. So that said, Season 20 off-season and Season 21 Victory Track and Gladiator Circuit. So in Victory Track, Season 21 is going to have Eat Crow. Science champions gain immunity to Nullify. Whenever a Nullify or Poison fails to apply to the attacker due to the immunity, they gain a Fury passive, increasing attack by 80% for 60 seconds. So that's a massive Fury. Power Snack. So Cosmic champions, most of the Cosmic champions are not going to be too thrilled about this. And Drip Feed Placebo. The attacker gains a 6-second placebo buff every 10 seconds whenever the defender is inflicted with non-damaging debuff except for the stun. Reset this timer. So, obvious science meta in Victory Track here, as well as you're going to be looking for Nullify immunities or generically champions who do power control in order to deal with Power Snack and generally don't rely on buffs. So it's going to be, again, quite an interesting meta here. I think for Victory Track, I do not mind the class-based focus too much either. And then for Gladiator Circuit, we're gonna have High Energy Diet, which again is a fairly tricky meta, but you can kind of play around with energy champions as well as long as you crit a lot. Reinvigorated Unblockable, so whenever opponents do try to regen, eventually they will go unblockable once they have had 10 heal or regen effects applied to them. Vital Strikes, when the defender strikes the attacker's block, they regenerate to 150% damage dealt. And then Indomitable, where you can't reverse the healing. So the point of this meta is going to be do not get hit in the block. And the point of the defenders in this meta is going to be use all the defenders who have undexable special attacks. For instance, something like Bullseye is probably going to be a real pain here, as well as Serpent, obviously, and a handful of other champions. So, this looks also actually quite interesting, in my opinion, for a Gladiator Circuit meta. willing to give it a go to both of them. Not 100% confident, but hopefully it works out. Rewards, a new emote. And my brand new one will now have the following Spider Ham emote for summoners to obtain. And I'm not gonna lie, that emote goes hard. I like that emote a lot. I think it's cool. However, it is obviously impossible not to notice the fact that there are no updates to Battlegrounds rewards, which is quite unfortunate, which we do definitely want to see in the near future. However, that ultimately is the info update about what is coming to the Battlegrounds. And I hope you guys found this video useful, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about